Dude, you seem to be concentrating really hard over there.
Yep, just leveled up. Took a new feat, allowed me to cast Dispel Magic.
Oh, sweet.
Don't need this thing anymore.
Well, now that that's out of the way, we can get to reviewing the newest Unearthed Arcana, all about feats for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds, by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchist Ted.
If you want D&D videos in your YouTube feed, you're not going to need a feat or special skills. Just click that subscribe button.
If you want to be more skilled in gaming knowledge, Nerdarchy can help. Just click that notification bell so those videos get to flow right through your YouTube feed.
So we're going to jump into our regularly scheduled content, talk about Unearthed Arcana, the latest one. We got all kinds of feats to talk about. But before we do, we got something we want to share with you from our sponsor, Easy Roller Dice. They got a brand new Kickstarter. And as the name would imply, it's about dice.
Easy Roller Dice has been providing amazing dice for years. They've been a sponsor with us for a long time. We super love them. Their new Kickstarter has got a whole new line of dice and a variety of colors and inks. And as they unlock more stretch goals, those options just get bigger and bigger.
Head on over to Kickstarter and check out this fabulous dice collection, the Color Spray dice collection from Easy Roller Dice. You're going to want to take a look at these. With that, let's talk about some feats now, Ted.
So, taking a look at things, we're going to take a look at this Unearthed Arcana 2020 for feats. And all told, we're going to get 16 new feats, although 2 of them are kind of a, reprint or, retake on them. But of those 16, 10 of them are half feats. Some of them I don't really think should be, but, it's a point for debate. And that's what Unearthed Arcana is all about, is trying to determine, where things fall in that power spectrum.
So initially, the first one we're going to get is Artificer Initiate. You've learned some of the Artificer's inventiveness, granting you the following benefits. You learn 1 cantrip of your choice from the Artificer spell list, and you learn 1 first level spell of your choice from that list. Intelligence is your spellcasting ability for these spells. Whenever you gain a level, you can replace one of these spells with another spell of the same level from the Artificer spell list. You also can cast this feat's first level spell without a spell slot, and you must finish a long rest before you can cast it in this way again. You can also cast a spell using a spell slot that you have. You gain proficiency with 1 type of artisan tools of your choice, and you can use that type of tool as a spellcasting focus for any spell you cast that uses intelligence as its spellcasting ability. So this is really cool, and one of the things we're seeing that's getting called out is the fact that you can use your spell slots to also cast that spell you get from the feed.
So it's essentially a learned spell as opposed to just a, hey, you have this ability that you can use once, end of story. Unlike the way Magic Initiate currently works. So I'm fond of this reworking of that concept. The first one we have that's kind of a reprint is Chef. Time and effort spent mastering the culinary arts has paid off. You gain the following benefits. You can increase your con or wisdom score by 1 to a maximum of 20, and you gain proficiency with the cook's utensils if you don't already have it. As part of a short rest, you can cook a special food provided you have the ingredients and cook utensils on hand. You can prepare enough of this food for a number of creatures equal to 4 plus your proficiency bonus. At the end of the short rest, any creature who eats the food and spends 1 or more hit dice to regain hit points regains an additional 1 die 8. With 1 hour of work, or when you finish a long rest, you can cook a number of treats equal to your proficiency bonus. These special treats last 8 hours after being made. A creature can use a bonus action to eat one of these treats to gain temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus.
So I think this is a departure from the original one. I don't remember the stuff with the treats being in there. It was more like you got resistances and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool, and also it gives you a way to supplement some healing into the game as well that doesn't involve spell casting at all.
Yeah, so the fact that you can essentially heal, kind of along the same lines as Song of Rest, as well as provide temporary hit points through these, these little snacks, these little treats. I like it as is. I'm quite fond of it, and I know that I've made characters in the past that would think this would be really cool and would actually be very fitting for, the character in our that we were playing with the old Nerdarchy staff.
So there's 2 examples of the feats that you can find here. Now I'm going to go through and list some ones that are like your fighting feats. There's 3 of them that each one is kind of based off of whether you're doing bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage. They are all half feats. They're going to give you a bonus to strength or dex, and then they give you some other abilities. I think all of them is like, oh, if you crit, you get this extra, you do this extra thing when you crit. And then you're going to have one other ability, which is really cool.
For me, there were a couple of things that stood out, and they were like linked together because they're in alphabetical order. Fey Touched is a spellcasting feat that allows you to, it's a half feat, so Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma goes up by 1 to a max of 20. You learn Misty Step and 1 first level spell of your choice from Divination or Enchantment. So like to me, I felt that was very potent with the amount of magic it gave you, and it's a half feat. Whereas Fighting Initiate, you have a prerequisite of being able to use a martial weapon, but you learn a fighting style. And, when you gain a level, you can change the fighting style that you select with this feat, but it's not a half feat. So I felt like, there was a very big swing. I think a first and second level spell versus a fighting style, they're not, in my opinion, they weren't really, comparable. So I felt that Fighting Initiate should have been a half feat and Fey Touch shouldn't.
So I think that speaks to how much emphasis the designers put on combat, really, to be honest with you. Because 2 spells, you're going to cast each one once a day. A fighting feat could actually come into play for every single attack you make, or every single attack that's directed against you, depending on which fighting style you go with.
Right.
So I kind of feel like that's where they're putting the emphasis. And it also shows where maybe you feel like what's important and what they think is important. So I don't know that I have an opinion on this yet. I don't know that making it a half feat is terrible. I might feel like Fighting Initiative might be a little bit underpowered, but also like if, I think Fighting Initiative might shine more where you have a character that already has a fighting style and adding another one on top of it. That might be where it's a little bit more potent. I mean, one of the things you could literally do is like, oh, anytime I have armor on, my armor class goes up by 1, which could come up a lot.
Versus, Misty Step and Detect Magic, that you can use every single day. I don't know. I think that's that's pretty cool if you ask me. But like you said, it depends upon the focus of your game. I'd love to hear your opinions on it. That are watching. Where do you feel in regards to these guys?
Eldritch Adept, which is really cool. Now this is so like this one is cool because it gives you access to the Warlock's patented ability. Only the Warlock can access this as of now. Warlock levels were the only way to get it, and that is the Eldritch Invocation. So now you can get one as long as you meet the requirements. And I think it's really cool and flavorful for another class, but it might be even stronger for a Warlock that can be like, oh, I'm going to take more invocations and make my Eldritch Blast better, or other abilities I use that's better. So to me, that's pretty strong.
But along the same lines, there's also the Metamagic Adept, which gives you access to either metamagic, abilities and sorcery points if you're not a sorcerer, or more if you already are a sorcerer.
Yeah, this one I find is really potent for the sorcerer. Not so much for the non-sorcerer. You only get 2 metamagic points, right? What are you going to do with those, right? You're going to use them once a day or whatever. But if you're a sorcerer, adding 2 more, that's like 2 levels of sorcerer. Mm-hmm. And, when you already have more options and you have more points to spend, I find that it's going to be more useful, more valuable. So Poisoner was the other one that we've seen before, when they did the skill feats before. Poisoner was one of them. They upgraded that and changed that a bit. So Practice Expertise is an interesting one because it makes me think of Prodigy, right? But this one's a half feat. So you can increase one of your stats, and it's actually any one. It doesn't really matter. And you're going to get a skill, and you're going to get expertise. With Prodigy, it's race specific, human or half elf, half orc, and you get a tool, a language, a skill, and expertise. So here we're kind of like swapping out like a language and a tool proficiency for that, for that stat bump. Stat bump's probably a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely. And you do have your choice of whether you want a skill or a tool for this. So it's very versatile, and anyone can take it. There's no prereqs. So I mean, this is something that if you wanted to really go with that skilled kind of character, human could take prodigy at first level, skilled at fourth, practiced expert at eighth, and you were just jam packing that stuff on.
So next we're going to see Shadow Touched, and Shadow Touched is it's the same as the Fate Touched. Really, it's just it's a different choice. Instead of Misty Step, it's Darkness, so it's very similar. And
here you get Illusion or Necromancy, which those things are going to be a little bit more attack option, with Necromancy being there. But it's definitely some cool stuff that you have. So I'm digging it.
So shield training is another one I found interesting, because if you wanted to go all in on using a shield, there is already a shield master feat. So this would open up some more options. You've trained in the effective use of shields, gain the following benefits: increase your strength, dex, or constitution score by 1. So it's a half feat. You gain proficiency with shields. In combat, you can don or doff a shield as a free object interaction on your turn. If you have spellcasting or a pack magic feature, you can use a shield as a spellcasting focus. So this is super useful for spellcasters. If you wanted to add more shield usage in there, you have the shield master as well. Obviously, if you already get proficiency with the shield, it's not going to be quite as useful. But hey, maybe you're playing an Elven War Mage and you wanted to add a shield, because a shield does stack with your mage armor. Super useful.
So I think it is fantastic for any spellcaster, because you can use it as a focus. You gain proficiency with it as part of the feat. Literally a level 1 wizard human could take this and start using it right away, and it's going to be super helpful for them.
It's better than wearing leather armor, and also being able to use that shield as a focus is really nice, comes in handy. So next up is Tandem Tactician, and I thought this one was super strong.
So this one, your presence in a scrap tends to elevate your comrades. You can use a help action as a bonus action. That in of itself is pretty awesome, and that is actually seen elsewhere in classes that some of them get that, which is like, wow, that was powerful then, but as part of a feat. But additionally, when you use the help action to aid an ally in attacking a creature, increase the range of the help action by 10 feet. Additionally, you can help 2 allies targeting the same creature within range when you use this help action in this way. Holy crap! So that's like, hey, I use a bonus action, and 2 people within 10 feet of me, if they're attacking a creature, they're going to be rolling with advantage. That is just super crazy, super helpful.
I always argue with Ted and Doug about the help action. Most of the time, I actually think it's a waste, because you're going to give up your action to help an ally. And if you're a warrior class with extra attack, you're giving up 2 attacks to give one person advantage.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it's a net minus. So it's rarely worth doing. But in this instance, 1, if it's a bonus action, it's always worth doing. And 2, but without it being a bonus action, it would be worth doing in this case, because it evens out, because it affects two different targets. Because hey, if you're the fighter and you want to give advantage to the rogue and to the paladin, well, both of them hit really hard. Now that's a good trade. I don't even think this needed to be a bonus action for this feat to be useful and decent.
So now you think that Tandem Tactician is too powerful?
I think it is on the strong side. I would run it in my game and see how it worked out. But let's face it. Why would you not use all of your bonus actions essentially to, give advantage to your allies in combat?
All right. So those are just some of the feats that are in here. We kind of called out the ones that we felt were, most needed to talk about. Love to hear what you guys think, down in the comments below.
If you enjoyed joining us for this feat conversation, you can check out in the card up here somewheres 5e feats, the best and worst.
If you're looking to get access to homebrew feats, did you know that we make content over on Patreon? Got new stuff every month for DMs and players alike. Check it out.
That's not all. We have weekly patron-only hangouts, monthly giveaways our patrons are automatically entered in, and more.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.